Hey guys. So, if you can see by the title, what I'm about to share is pretty radical, but it's relevant to what's going on right now. And my human self has been battling. I've been pacing around the park, trying to get up the courage, trying to find the exact right spot. I already had picked a spot and it was apparently too close to the golf course and people were hollering to move to me and these other people. And so I landed in this space, and this was my confirmation that I was doing the right thing. Let me flip the camera around. It says stop police brutality right here. And I was like, okay. And it says able with 2020. So my soul is like, cut the crap, get over yourself. This is not really an option here. You haven't been shown this information for your own, really, I would not share this because it really, my personal life, I stand nothing to gain, let me put it that way, by sharing this. So I'm going to try to do this as clearly as possible. I brought a marker and paper. I'll go ahead and preface this by saying my intention is to share the information as it's been given to me through my higher self, through my ability to see patterns and recognize the workings of cosmic cycles and galactic cycles, and my understanding of the actual mechanics of it. And what's happening this June 21st is the same exact alignment that happened June 21st of 2001, just prior to the Twin Towers, okay? And the eclipse that's happening this June 21st is in the same galactic alignment, which is where the ecliptic plane, which is the path that the planets go around the sun, and our Earth plane actually intersect, okay? So this is the alignment that has been prophesied, and it only happens, it's a very long cycle, okay? So this is where people talk about the turning of the ages, the return of the golden age, the new age, blah, blah, blah. A lot of it's been distorted. A lot of it has, people, so even me, so I'm going to go ahead and say it, we all have our human filter, right? But we all have a connection to source, to God, to the universe, to our higher self, whatever you want to call it, and the ability to get direct information from our soul. So my soul has been showing me this for over a year now, but I've had to work through so many fears of speaking up, speaking the truth as I understand it, worried about if people will understand, if people will think I'm crazy, all those things. And I had very real experiences earlier in my life, specifically in 2001, that created a lot of trauma around speaking my truth. So now it's time. I'm really thinking the best way to do this is to write some of it out, and that way later if people want to take a screenshot and do their own research, they can, and it's not just me talking. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera around and get out my marker. Okay, let's see. Okay, so summer solstice 2001, 3 months prior to 9/11, we had an eclipse, a total solar eclipse at 0 degrees Cancer, okay, on I can't point the camera in right, hold on, 6/21/2020, which right here you can see 19 years. So these eclipse cycles, there's 2 eclipse cycles. There's one that repeats every 18 years, 11 days, and 8 hours. And we had the repeat of this one on 7/2/2019, okay, where it was in the same family of eclipses, but it moves about 10 degrees every 18 years, 11 days, and 8 hours. So this one was 10 degrees Cancer. But every 19 years, it returns to the same degree. And so this eclipse is the one that's going to happen coming up here in less than a month, okay? So right here, does anybody notice anything about this number? How much has this number been blasted into our consciousness in the past couple months, right? I don't even have to write it out, right? Okay, we all know what that number has been blasted in the media. 19 is a very important number in like the larger cycles of our cosmic self, our galactic self, our planet, etc. Okay, so this eclipse is also 0 degrees Cancer. So this part is not as important like for everybody unless you're into astrology. But the point is, okay, Twin Towers. This captured literally the attention of the entire globe, right? A lot of fear, a lot of us versus them was stirred up in the collective, right? Fear, looking at our neighbors with suspicion, being suspicious of people from other cultures, that sort of thing. And now, all of a sudden, this one came after the eclipse. This one is happening prior to the eclipse. Much of our focus right now is on the Twin Cities, right? A lot of us are getting angry. We're in fear that this is never going to change. We're furious. You know, there is righteous anger. It's not that anger is bad. When anger becomes unproductive is when it's only used to create more separation instead of more unity, right? So I believe strongly, maybe I should flip the camera around for this. Okay. I believe that the opportunity with this set of eclipses, okay, is that the earth is at a point where we've raised our consciousness. You know, consciousness has evolved over the course of human history. Think about first man. Their consciousness was just survival, right? How do we build a fire? How do we feed ourselves? How do we procreate? Okay? And then as man developed, there was this, it's like an upwards curve of evolution, okay? We now can think critically. We can be the observer that is watching our own experience. You know, before that was, survival was too much at the forefront of our brains. That's the reptilian brain, that's the hind brain, that's the part of the brain that's, you know, it runs on fight or flight survival, okay? So if we think in terms of what can stop the force of evolution can be stopped when we revert back to that reptilian brain, because its only function is to keep us surviving, okay? So I don't want to get into like conspiracy of like there's these dark forces, blah, blah, blah. Right now, that really doesn't matter. I want to say that the absolute best thing that we can do as individuals when we are witnessing what's happening in the Twin Cities is to go within, really, really focus on the world that we want to see, the world that we know in our hearts is possible, the world that is based on equal exchange of energy and love and, you know, honor and respect and integrity with our brothers and sisters. And so noticing when you're sitting with that, anywhere that you feel judgment towards people in your own life or towards certain groups, organizations, that sort of thing, finding peace, finding a place of love. I mean, it really goes back to Jesus' teachings of, do unto others. And, the golden rule is the simplest place to start, making sure that in your own life, like, that you're living from the heart instead of from fear and from fight or flight, adrenaline, all these things that perpetuate this idea that we are somehow separate from our Creator. Jesus also taught the kingdom of heaven is within. What this alignment is giving us the opportunity for is this flood of Christ consciousness. This flood of light and love is pouring in from the spiritual sun through our sun and blasting into our consciousness. If we can be the grounding rod, right? Because that's electrical energy. We are magnetic. The place where those two meet is our electromagnetic organ. In the micro, we have an electromagnetic organ called the heart that can be the point where the two meet, okay? And that is where creation happens. That is where we are one with the Creator, because it is the place. That's why humans, we've been made to forget, systematically made to forget. That's another rant. That we have, that is our God-given, that is what makes humans created in the image of God. But over the course of time, since the fall of grace, there have been the negative polarity who had this secret knowledge, who wanted to use it for their own power. That's why it's all linked. That's why, 99% of the world's wealth is held by 1% of the population, because they know this, okay? And so if they can siphon our energy and keep us fighting each other, right? Divide and conquer. You divide and conquer by keeping us fighting each other instead of learning to work together, focusing on what we can do to build a better culture, listening to what the media is feeding us, all of these things. So I'm not saying to ignore the news. I'm not saying to not know what's going on in the world, but I'm saying to take that righteous anger and say, okay, who do I need to forgive? Who do I need to ask forgiveness from? Who do I need to forgive myself? Do I need to look at where I can be more loving to my family, to my neighbors, to my friends, to the freaking stranger on the road, to the person who's rude to me in traffic? Our intention and our consciousness is so powerful that we can shift. You've walked into a room before and you could feel the tension. And I've also walked into a room where I could feel that, and I purposely projected love and peace and calm, and I watched the situation change. So we are way more powerful than we've been told. The power of our heart and our soul is so much more powerful than we've been told. So I don't believe in coincidences. Twin towers, twin cities, same eclipse, 19 years apart, COVID-19, everything in our world is a reflection of the inner separation that we've been made to believe between our human self and our God self, okay? And so I am fully aware that this might sound like complete mumbo jumbo to most people. You might have no concept of what I'm talking about, but Facebook is the place where I have the most relationships with people who might understand this. If you know anything about the twin flame path, the twin flame journey, that has been distorted because it preyed on a lot of people's trauma wounds around love and wanting that perfect partner, when really I believe now at this point, and I've gone through my whole journey with that, is that the twin flame blueprint is what Christ exhibited when he was here on earth. He was the way shower, he was the teacher, to say, what I can do, you can do also, because our Father is in us, here, now. And let me show you and let me demonstrate to you what you also, as my brothers and sisters, as a divine child of the Creator Source, what you can do also. And so I just am really passionate. I didn't know I was going to go into it this much, but clearly I'm just going to trust and keep trusting what is coming through. I'm not going to promise any follow-up, because what happens is that I make these promises and then my fears creep up. And so what I'm doing is just saying that this video is what it is. Take it if it resonates, do your own research, or just forget you ever saw it. I just have to get over worrying about how it's received, because it's gotten to the point where my soul self will absolutely not let me sit on all the information I have anymore. I have been studying these patterns and these charts and these alignments now since 2016, and literally today I saw somebody make a comment about the Twin Cities and the Twin Towers, and I was like, bam, that's my green light. I didn't even connect. I've just been thinking Minneapolis. I didn't even think about it being the Twin Cities, and that was like my go ahead. So here it is. I'm not saying that I know anything for fact. Human Ellen doesn't, but all I know is that I'm supposed to share this in this moment now with so much love, with so much hope, that we can remember our true divine blueprint, that we can remember that we are the hands and feet of God here on earth, meant to bring heaven to earth, connect the two through our physical body, through our spine, and right here in the heart is where it happens. It's that electromagnetic balance. It is clearing away all the density, all the unworthiness, all the fears, all of the dense, tight, constricted energies that keep that flow from coming in and flowing out, coming in and flowing out. And this is an ongoing process for me, and this is a huge deal for me. I would appreciate that if you have negative comments, or if you just adamantly think you've got to tell me something, if you could please do it privately, I would really appreciate it, because this is literally terrifying for me. And I just appreciate having a platform to be able to say these things. And I hope people that know me know that my intention is pure. I have nothing, like I said, to gain from this. I don't seek anything other than to share what I know to be true, in the hopes that it can help other people who might be sitting in fear and sitting in anger and feeling helpless, because we're not helpless. Our love is so powerful, because our love is the way that Source expresses through us. When you hear people say God is love, that there is only one energy. So everything is either coming from love or fear, which is this perception that love is not present, because love is the only one thing. It's that primal light substance that can neither be created nor destroyed. It's physics. It can only change forms, and so just holding that highest vision for our world, sending love. I mean, if you feel called to hold a peace rally, if you feel called to write a blog post about the world that you envision that doesn't have these sort of things, that doesn't have this sort of violence and this sort of degradation of the human value and of our equality as human beings, then do that. Anything that's putting that love vibration out into the world is going to be so crucial right now, because things, will probably continue to get crazier. So with that, I got to go pick up my kiddos. I love you guys. Mwah. Talk to you soon.